This footnote is about the things that used to worry me or bring me anxiety before I had a kid. But I want to focus in on like the irrational stuff, because I do not want to feed into this narrative of like, oh, well, you didn't ever really have anything to worry about because you were just thinking about yourself because you were a childless monster and now you've got a purpose. It's like, no, we're not playing that game, Mr. Carnegie. But anyway, it's so interesting, like how it was like night and day before I had my kid and after I had my kid. Some of my fears, frustrations, and worries that just completely fell away in favor of something else. For example, I used to be really scared of the dark.
I am a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I still wouldn't like run headlong with gay abandon into a dark forest or something without a flashlight or a torch. Or into a dark basement not knowing what's there. But I used to get really nervous even if I were in my bedroom and the lights were off. Even in an area that I was very familiar with, it's like, can we please turn on a light? Even though I knew that there was nothing there that was going to harm me. You know, walking across like the living room to the bathroom, it's like there's nothing there waiting for me that wouldn't have killed me in bed. It's not like, oh, I really want to attack Leslie. I'm going to wait until she really has to piss herself because that'll show her. It's like, that's not a thing. That was not happening. But I would get really like, okay, gotta just like rush. Yeah. And just get to the safe place. Get to the toilet.
And then you jump into bed, you put the blanket back on, and you're like,
yeah. And heaven forbid you leave your foot hanging off the side, because that's no, that's monster bait. So it had to be like really tucked in. And this was well into my adult years as well. You know, and there were also these things that used to just drive me really, would make me very anxious and frustrated, that absolutely did not have any impact on my life whatsoever. The way people hold yogurt cups in ads.
yeah.
So unnatural. I felt like it was such an insult to my intelligence. It's like, I'm going to hold it just so with my finger curled around the front in a way that you can see the branding and the logo. But I would never hold it like this in real life because I would have arthritis every freaking day. I used to like see this pop up in ads and I'm like, do they think we're stupid? It's like, who holds their yogurt cups that way? And I just found it so irritating.
Yeah, I did used to get a lot more worked up over some of those things. And I have noticed I'm not afraid of the dark anymore either. So maybe it is having...
It's because I had a kid and you were channeling that, like, oh, something's more sensible in the world.
Having a kid gives you a lot of focus in your life, would you say? Like, what... You tell me what having a kid has done in changing life.
Okay. It's definitely changed the kinds of things that I worry about. Some of the irrational worries fell away because suddenly I was just consumed by this thought that my biggest fear was no longer what random inanimate object was suddenly going to attack me in the dark in my own home. It was the thought of anything bad happening to my kid.
Yeah.
That did not make me a less worried, less anxious person by any stretch of the imagination. It just added on to some of the other anxieties that I had that were rational, you know?
Yeah.
It compounded them. So where I would be really concerned about things like future finances and career and all those other things, those worries were still there. But now the stakes were higher.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so I'm, doing all the right things according to the book. I'm really, really busy. I'm much, much busier now. Can I stop worrying now? Is it time to let go? Is it time to just start living?
Yeah. I can relate to the now your greatest fear is something happening to this little one you love. Like, I have a nephew, and yeah, like when he was born, I was just like, anything happens to him, I'll like destroy. Like, just love that little boy to just squish his face. It's so cute. But the high stakes on all of that other stuff, now that's an extra thing that I haven't experienced because I'm not in charge. I do stress a little bit of like, I want to make sure that I'm able to be there to take care of my family if anyone needs it.
Yeah.
I'm like the backup.
Yeah.
But being the first line of defense does sound very worrying.
And that's not to say that my entire experience of motherhood has been about like worry, anxiety, depression. These are things that I've been managing my whole entire life, right? But it's to say that as a busy mom, and in stark contrast with what Carnegie expresses or suggests in the book, I have not managed to banish worry from my life by completely giving myself over to the act of caring for my child. This is something that is constantly pounded into the minds of parents, especially women and female presenting parents, that it doesn't matter what's happening in your life, in your mind, in your emotions, as long as the baby's okay. When I was battling through my very high-risk pregnancy, that was one expression that made me want to punch people. When I would be like freaking out, worried, pulling every tool I had in my toolkit to bring myself back to some level of emotional functioning, and I'd stress out and they'd be like, oh no, don't stress, it's bad for the baby. Or it's like, no, it's fine because the baby's okay and that's what really matters. It's like, I matter too. Mm-hmm. And if we don't rid ourselves of that narrative, that's the kind of narrative that follows us into our parenthood. It's like, sacrifice yourself. Sacrifice everything about yourself. Because as long as the baby's okay, that's all that matters. It's like, okay, but the baby can be much better than okay if its caregivers are doing well also.
Yes.
It's like, don't worry about, I don't know, not having a job as long as the baby's okay. It's like, well, hang on a minute. So if I were a person struggling with employment issues, like my stress over that situation would have a direct impact on my kid. Not having a job would have a direct impact on my kid. Or like, that might be a bit of a shaky example, but you know what I mean? It's like whatever is causing stress in that parent shouldn't be invalidated. Whatever it might be. There might be some irrationality there, but we shouldn't just write it off as like, oh, it's a silly thing.
It absolutely makes a huge impact on the kids.
Yeah.
Even if you are hiding it or whatever, there are knock-on effects.
Yeah.
That's always been my number one fear, and probably why I have not gone down the parenting route, is that I just didn't think I could pull it off. Like, I didn't think I would be healthy enough, which isn't a good excuse to not, if parenting is important to you. But, like, I just had too much fear and guilt and worry over, like, could I? Yeah. Could I manage? Would I fall apart and be incapable of being a good parent?
And that's something that's really important to consider. Like, do you honestly feel that you have the capacity, like, in your mental landscape, mental health wise, to extend care to a very vulnerable creature? This is a question we need to ask ourselves. For a lot of people, they'll say, yep, no, I don't. And that's fine. For a lot of people, they'll say, look, I know it's going to be really bloody hard, but I'm up for it. I'm here for it. For some people, they'll think, oh yeah, it'll be fine. And then they get surprised when they get to the other side and it's like, oh crap, what have I done? And all of those experiences are valid. All of those experiences can be part of the conversation. And these experiences should not be erased by this notion of like, just lose yourself completely. And that's the key to stop worrying. And that was one thing that kept me from wanting to have a kid for the longest time. I thought, but then there's all this pressure to keep the thing alive. That was my go-to line. But then I started to get to know some kids. This is actually when I was teaching in Vietnam. For part of that time, I was teaching like little kids. And that's what got me thinking differently. And I was like, oh, it'll be hard, but my gosh, little kids are so cute and they love me so much. I actually am good with kids. And that's when I started thinking about the idea that it could actually be worth all the struggle. Yeah. Then when I was in my awful relationship that brought me to Australia originally, I was like, I think I still want kids, but not with this person. And then I met Tony. And I was like, all right, my partner in parenting, this is the person to have a child with. And the rest is history. Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm excited for what the future holds. I know that there are going to be continuous ups and downs. There are going to be more worries, more anxieties. The kid's only 7.5. So much more to navigate. But hell, I'm here for it.
Yeah. Lovely.
Thank you for listening.
So squishy.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Leslie.
Thanks, Mika. Bye.
Bye.